Alright, so a little bit of a deviation from the typical kind of content that we put out here. Normally it's more like readings and things like that, collective messages. But I think I want to create like a new playlist for like just metaphysical discussion in general. So bear with me. It's going to be more of an audio ride than it is a visual one, because I want to just focus on like train of thought. So just put me on in the background, you know? And yeah, just focus more so on what I'm saying as opposed to what's on the screen, because it's probably just going to be candles for this one. Alright. So I did want to talk about the mechanics of a love spell. I feel like this has become a very popular service if you follow me on Instagram. And I've gotten some pretty good results. And a lot of people are like, how the hell do you do this? And I don't necessarily have an explanation. I just have a theory, if that makes sense, right? Because I feel like that's what we all do in terms of like manifesting what we want. We're throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, and then when some sticks, we keep going with it. But yeah. Now, in terms of like the mechanics of a love spell, right? To try to define that is really, really like dense. There's a lot to kind of unpack there. But what I would say is that it comes down really to what your intention is more than anything else. Because sometimes you can like point your energy at something or someone. But if you're not like super experienced in that type of realm, I wouldn't recommend it, because it might just create some weird soul ties that you're not ready for, you know? Now, the other thing is, like, you also have the option to, like, cast energy into your auric field. And I was explaining this to, I want to say it was Shelby, but it's on my stories. And I thought it was a good question. It was just asking basically, like, you know, if I do a spell, like, how does it work? Like, how long does it last? Like, and all of that really is dependent upon the type of candles you use and who's doing them. And of course, like, what the intention is. Everyone's gonna have, like, their own set of norms, I guess we would say, for, like, performance. It's gonna vary from person to person. But yeah. The other thing, though, is understanding that, like, sometimes you can ask for things and you have to also be willing to accept that you don't always know how the circumstance is going to play out. Because I've definitely seen that happen, too, where it's like, oh, I want him to come running back to me, and then he does, but the circumstances might be a little unfortunate. You get what I'm saying? Just be careful what y'all be wishing for, because you just might get it. And that's the whole thing, right? When it comes to love spells, I would much rather just attract generally more love into my auric field, meaning that, like, everyone I interact with, whether it be just a small interaction or something more deep, it still has, like, its meaning. But that's more of, like, a self-love kind of spell kind of thing, you know? As opposed to just pointing a candle at somebody and being like, I want you to love me forever. Because sometimes it doesn't always work like that, you know? Of course, like, there is, like, the rules of free will and things, but also, some people are just really susceptible to magic, let's be honest. Some people are very weak to it, so, I mean, it's a sliding scale, and you can grade it how you want to. But just keep in mind, results may vary, you know? Like, I encourage everyone to, like, at least try stuff once or twice, see if it works for you. If you can't figure it out, then outsource and have somebody do it for you who's experienced. And I feel like a lot of people are doing that with me in terms of, like, you know, having me cast out certain things for them. But it's all about understanding that it's just a further representation, I guess we would say, of the intention that you have from the start. So it's like, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, you got to think about that the entire time you're preparing the candle. You got to like look at the like planetary hours, figure that shit out. There's a lot to this. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna like light a candle and everything's gonna come to me. And that's another thing too. It's like, just because you do the work doesn't mean that you don't have to do the work on the outside as well. You get what I'm saying? Because there's people out there who will get love spells and be like, oh, well, nobody hit me up. And I'm like, well, did you go out? Did you leave the house? Like, do you have some way of people being able to reach you, to date you on your phone? Like, you get what I'm saying? You have to kind of walk in the path of what you're asking for in order to get the results. So it's like, you can't really half step it. You either have to like live that life or you don't. But yeah, to me, that's the mechanics of a love spell. It all comes down to intention. In terms of like what you can do with it, I mean, that's all dependent upon the tools you choose, the size of the candle, how many days you gonna do it. You know, all of those things are up to the individual, but it does really come down to intention. Like, what do you want? What are you trying to bring forward? But I don't know. My general advice would be like, to anyone considering love spells, just shower yourself in love and let love come to you, because I think that's a better expenditure of energy, I guess we would say, or you'll like the exchange a little bit better. Because sometimes pointing at a particular person doesn't always necessarily work unless you've done some of the work yourself. You know what I mean? Emotionally. Because sometimes we be wanting people back, but we don't be ready to forgive or let go of resentment. So just keep all of that in mind. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hearing me out on this topic. If you have other topics you want me to talk about, or other prompts, questions, whatever, leave it inside the comment. I'll do my best to like check it, reply to everybody, and if it's something that I think people can relate to, it'll probably be a video like this one. So a little incentive to be active and a participant, you know, because you might actually get answered. Who knows? But thank you for spending time with me, y'all. And look forward to more of these.